Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's another episode of your absolute favorite podcast of all time. And if it isn't, it's going to be one of these days. You know it. Much better than every other podcast entitled Let's Talk About Something or Other. So, what are we doing? It's episode 27. And you know what we're going to do? We're going on vacation. Summer vacation. Let's talk about this. Yeah, summer vacation. This is something that we did when I was a kid. I went on several summer vacations with my family as a kid. And I'm not talking just, summer when school's out. Summer vacation, you call it, oh yeah, we got a vacation from school. Which is more of a United States thing. You don't usually get that overseas. Overseas, people have school like year-round, but they don't go like every single day. Or there's like a month off here and there. You get like holiday break and things like that. I don't remember how it works. And even some places here in the United States, they do that. But when I was growing up, it was all about summer vacation. It was such a common thing that you'd have your favorite TV shows on Friday nights. You'd have your Friday night lineup of sitcoms and things. And there would always have either a super special, like extra double episode where the family went on vacation, or there'd be a movie that they'd make, and it'd be their vacation movie. And that's what we did. We went on summer vacation. We would go on a big trip somewhere. And, people don't do that so much anymore, I don't think. I don't know if it's just a money thing, or if it's a time thing, or if it's a we just can't be bothered kind of thing anymore. I mean, maybe people just don't like going on summer vacation. Maybe they go on little trips here and there all the time, and they don't do a big family vacation. But that's what we did when I was a kid. We went a bunch of places. One year we went to Niagara Falls. We went across the Canadian border. So we went into Canada and did that. That was fun. We went to a lot of places on that trip. We went under the falls in these like rain slickers that were made out of trash bags. And we went on a boat. And the boat went real close to the falls. We went to a wax museum. I remember the wax museum was kind of frightening for me and my sisters as kids because they had like a whole like Spanish Inquisition section of people getting like tortured and things. We were like, oh my goodness, and we were all afraid of it. But it's just wax. And we went to where else did we go? We went to Kentucky, which, some people might be like, why'd you go there? Well, because I had family that lived there. My grandfather lived there. Grandfather and grandmother. This is the grandfather I talked about on the Saying Goodbye episode. And they lived down in Kentucky. And we went down there as a family once and stayed there with them and with my aunt. My aunt lived there at the time, her and her family as well. So we stayed all in relatively the same area. Climbed up a mountain, all kinds of things. Went to some theme parks. We went to, another year, we went to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I'm not entirely sure where it is. I think it's somewhere near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I think. But we went there and went to like a fort. Some kind of fort. Where we bought like Revolutionary War memorabilia and stuff like that. I bought this little like flintlock that didn't fire like musket balls and things, but it had like a cap thing on it. You know how back in the old days they had those cap guns where you'd put a little strip of paper that had like basically the stuff you make fireworks out of. I don't know if it was quite gunpowder or what it was, but you put it in there and then you'd like slam it real hard and it would puff up and smoke and spark. Yeah, I got one of those. Broke it, of course. But I was kind of rough on toys as a kid. Kids are kind of rough on toys. You got to expect that with kids. Where else did we go? I know I've been to more places. I've been to all kinds of places when I was a kid. And I have 3 sisters. And so we would all cram into one vehicle. For a little while, we had a station wagon. You guys remember station wagons? They don't really do those so much anymore. But we had a station wagon. and that was okay. But then we would all pile into my mom's Blazer, and there'd be 4 of us kids in the back seat with my mom and dad in the front seats. And man, we had to like share seatbelts, two to a seatbelt, 2 kids per seatbelt, and that was rough. That was rough for hours at a time because it's never a short drive. It's always hours and hours of driving. Never a short drive. But we went on vacation. We packed our things and we'd be all excited, and I've got home movies and things of us going these places. Yeah, I got home movies of us on vacation. And yeah, it was a good time. It was stressful sometimes, but it was a good time anyway. And people don't do this so much anymore. I don't know. Like I said, it's not. Maybe it's a money thing. Money's tight. You can't go to these big trips so much anymore, or you're afraid of leaving the house empty. Like there might be crime in your neighborhood and things. Like I don't want to leave my house alone for that long, because I don't want anybody to burglarize it or anything like that. And it's not that my neighborhood is particularly a bad neighborhood. It's just almost any neighborhood these days is kind of a bad neighborhood. It's just how it goes, unfortunately. It's crime. Crime happens. Now, when I was a bit older, we wouldn't go on like full vacations so much because we didn't have the time. Because with us, it ended up being a time thing. Everybody had too much stuff going on and my mom and dad's work schedules and all that other kind of stuff. But we would go once in a while on these day trips. And we'd go to Cedar Point, which is a theme park here in Ohio. We'd go there, and we'd go do different things, and sometimes. But after a while, I kind of was like, nah, I like staying at home. So when I was old enough to stay home, like early teens, the rest of the family would go off and do whatever they do, and I just stay home. I wouldn't go places because I didn't like to. I liked having the quiet house, all of my stuff, and I still do. I don't like going places so much anymore. I'm getting older, and I don't like being far from home. I like having easy access to my food, to my comfort, to everything that's familiar to me. I don't like going out places anymore. For this Uncanny Earth, Rob and I used to, I say used to, but it wasn't that long ago. We went to a few different places. We went to West Virginia overnight a few times, and we've got plans to do some other things because we got to go do documentaries and stuff like that. So I'm going to do that, but honestly, I don't like it. I don't like it anymore. I don't like going places. But, this kind of stuff, you make the best of it. This is what we do. We do this, trying to do this for a living. We're not really making any money at it right now, but that's kind of the plan in the long term. Do the stuff you enjoy doing, and meet new people. You want to meet new people who want to be on the show and do different things. I just don't like traveling anymore. I don't travel very well. I don't like sitting in a car for long hours. I don't like spending tourist money, because wherever you go, you have to spend more money than you would have at home because you're a tourist and everything's priced for tourism. Now, my daughter and her mom are getting to go on a vacation. It's not quite a summer vacation, though, but it might as well be. They're going at the end of September. They're going to Myrtle Beach. And they're going to see the ocean and all that. And my daughter has never seen... She's never seen the ocean. She's seen Lake Erie, which is pretty impressive if you're a child. It's pretty impressive seeing something like that. But she's never seen the ocean, so she's going to get to see that, hang out on the beach, have more or less like a girls' weekend, because it's going to be her mom, and her mom's aunt, who's providing the bungalow, the condo, I guess it is. I don't know what kind of a place it is, but they're going down there. And I'm going to have a vacation, sort of, because I'm going to be at home, not having to worry about any of that. I'm just going to hang out here and take care of the dog, which means I'm going to be working my butt off because the dog needs constant care and attention. But other than that, I'm going to get this house, I'm going to do super late or super early spring cleaning. I'm going to scrub things. That's going to be my vacation. Cleaning vacation. I'm going to scrub everything that doesn't get scrubbed on a regular basis because the house is being lived in. And that's the thing, you can't always take care of things right away because people are busy living in a space. So you have to get the things when there aren't people in that space, and that's what I'm going to do. Possibly some other things, I don't know. Now, I did go, me and Annabelle's mom, we did go to Hawaii long before she was born, before she was, brewing in the oven, I suppose you could say. And we went to Hawaii for one of my sister's weddings, and that was a vacation. We were there for a week and a half, maybe almost 2 weeks. I think it was a week and a half. We were in Honolulu and Waikiki, mostly in the tourist area. We didn't go too far. We were kind of working on a budget, and a Hawaiian vacation is something that you don't just, you put money towards, but it's not something that you're financially going to do all the time. So we went down, we flew the planes, we had some drinks, that kind of thing. We had some food. And some things that I noticed that were interesting is no matter where you go, there's always something that kind of reminds you of home. And the one thing that reminded me of home is when we got off the plane and we got checked into the hotel, and we were like, we want to have some food, we're hungry, we don't want to sit in the hotel, we want to go out into the city and have some food in Waikiki. But we didn't want to just pick a place we didn't know about because we don't want to be disappointed. We wanted to take our time the next several days we were there to pick some good local places. But when we were first there, we were just like, I just want something that I know is going to be good. So unfortunately, we went to Denny's. Because they have a Denny's in Hawaii. On Waikiki. Or they did at the time. And the Denny's here in Ohio, there's 2 I've been to. And this one, both of them, are known to be a bit slow and often get your order wrong. And we were like, oh, it's going to be different. It's Hawaii, right? And we went to Denny's, and it was almost exactly the same. It was so slow. It wasn't the slowest food we had on that trip, though. Let me tell you. We went late night with one of my other sisters and her fiance. I don't know if he was her fiance at the time or if they were just dating at the time. I don't remember. The timeline of when all my sisters do all their things is kind of loose in my brain. But we went to a cheesesteak place that had like Philly cheesesteaks and things. And we were there waiting for them to make this food for like an hour and a half. I don't know why we didn't just give up and say, never mind, heck with it. But we were there an hour and a half for this food. Oh my goodness. And I don't even remember if it was good. I don't remember if it was worth eating or not, to be perfectly honest. But sometimes that's what you get on vacations. That's sometimes what happens on vacations. When I was younger, when I was 20 years old, I went on a vacation by myself. I went to California from Ohio, all by myself. Bought the plane ticket round trip. Got in touch with the people I was staying with. Everything planned it all out. I was out there for about 2 weeks. Had a good time. Played paintball in Napa Valley. That was fun because we were playing. My team was a bunch of ragtags, and the team we were playing against was the people who regularly play at the location, and they're like partially, some of them are employees, and some of them are like the professional team, and they were cheaters. I'm not saying that because like we lost or anything like that. I don't even remember who won, to be honest, but I remember they were cheaters. They would wipe off the marks when you weren't looking, so you weren't sure if you got them or not. Oh, they were cheaters. Cheaters. But, whichever, But I did that on the last day that I was there. And I didn't have time to do anything else afterwards. I had to go right to the airport. So I went, I got all sweaty, covered in paint, changed, went on the plane all sweaty. And, That was interesting. That was interesting. But it was a good time. I had a lot of good times out in California. California was pretty funny at the time. Because here in Ohio, I was used to, a certain way of things. In California, where I was, it was just a little bit north of San Francisco. It was basically in the Bay Area, in some suburbs. And it was not that different. Same kind of restaurants, same kind of stores, a little more expensive. And they had, around here you've got Hardee's. Hardee's, it's like a burger fast food place, right? In California, it's the same exact place, but they call it Carl's Jr. Maybe the guy's name was Carl Hardy, and maybe out there he had an estranged son who took the same logo and the same everything and the same food and just called it Carl's Jr. I don't know. I don't know the story, but it was exactly the same. But it was more expensive. I remember they had this advertisement. They were proud. They were a proud advertiser of the $6 guacamole burger. It was $6 for this burger with guacamole on it and a bunch of other toppings. But that was just for one sandwich, $6. And some people out there were like, well, what's the difference? What's so bad about $6? When you get fast food, you're used to like a sandwich on its own being like $4 or $5. And if you're paying like $6-7, you're getting a whole meal, like fries and a drink, right? But no, they were proud. They were like $6. I'm sure it's more now, though. Because with inflation, $6 is the sandwiches now in Ohio. So I guess it's not that different anymore. Thank you, inflation. But yeah, I went out there. I had a good time. They had a used CD record store out there that they didn't have here. So I bought a whole bunch of 90s alternative and industrial music on CDs that I couldn't get around here for dirt cheap. I came back with my overhead bag for the plane, like packed full of CDs. It was ridiculous. But that's what happens too when you go on vacation. You buy stuff. And all the bags that you meticulously packed to make sure that everything fit and everything was good and goes back in the car and all that kind of stuff. On the way back, everything's a little bulgier, a little bulkier. They don't quite fit in the compartments in the car or in the plane or wherever so much. And you're thinking, man, why is it not fitting? Because you bought stuff. You bought souvenirs. Souvenirs is what you did, sir. Madam, genders in between, off on the side, who knows? But yeah, that's what you do. You buy stuff. You buy stuff and you eat. That's a vacation for you. You buy stuff and you eat. You don't... you go and see the sights and you keep telling yourself, oh yeah, I'm going to go see the sights. I'm going to go see all this historical stuff. I'm going to get some culture. But you're just going to eat food and buy stuff. Eat food and buy stuff. That's a vacation. Now, when my daughter goes to Myrtle Beach, she's going to be on the beach. She might buy some things. She'll probably eat some good food. But she's going to be on the beach, seeing the sand and the surf and the water and the sunshine. And that's really what you do if you're on that kind of vacation. You go to the beach and you just hang out. Build some sand castles, get a tan, get some sunburns, whatever. You have a good time. Other vacations you don't. Anytime you try to go to do historical stuff, like let's go see a giant monument or the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota or something, you end up buying stuff and eating things. And that's what it is. That's the whole trip. Buying things and eating things. That's a vacation. Now, it's a little different if you go and you stay with family. Like when I went to Kentucky, we stayed with family. And so you ate with family. You didn't go out to a lot of places. You didn't go to a lot of souvenirs so much. You went there and you went out in nature and you did stuff together as a family. And that's a little different. But not if you just go to see an attraction, to see a site. Like if you go to Disney World or something like that. There's another one. I've been to. I don't know which is which. Disney World or Disneyland? I'm going to have to look it up. I went to the one in Florida. I didn't want to. This is a fun story as well. I think it's Disney World. Let's take a look. Disney World. Where is it at? Disney World. Walt Disney World Resort. I think it's in Florida. Walt Disney World. Not Disneyland. Disneyland's like in California or something like that. I don't remember. But when I was in school, when I was in middle school and high school, I was in the marching band. Okay? And one year, and they went more than 1 year, but we only went once while I was in the band because it was a big deal. But 1 year they wanted to go to Disney World because they were going to march in a parade for some big event or something like that. And they always have high school marching bands come out and do these things. And I didn't want to go. I didn't care about Disney World. My sisters were all in the marching band. They're like, yeah, we're going to go to Disneyland. And my parents were like, great, that's awesome. And I was like, I don't want to go. And my parents were like, well, you're going to go. I was like, I don't want to go. They're like, all of your sisters are going. You're going. And we're going to get our vacation here by ourselves. And so I was sent. I didn't voluntarily go to Disney World. I was sent to Disney World. Against my will. Under duress. And I was grouchy the entire trip. I made a point to be as grouchy and as excited as possible. I was an angsty kid. And when we got to Florida, the bus even pulled over next to like a spot where there was the ocean. You could just walk from the road down straight to the beach. And the bus pulled over so that everybody could get off and see the ocean for the first time. And I was like, nah. And I stayed on the bus. I stayed on the bus by myself, ate a snack or something. I don't remember, listening to music. I had brought like a radio with me and things like that. But everybody else went out and they played in the ocean. And I didn't. I was like, forget it. I don't want to do that. I did do some memorable things. I sang karaoke in the hotel with a couple other girls from the Color Guard or something or other. One of them, I think, was with the drums, and then the other one was from Color Guard. We sang some songs. So did that. And I got a free ride on Space Mountain. Not the Ric Flair Space Mountain. Don't get some ideas in your head. This is a family show. But the ride they got down there, Space Mountain, it's an indoor roller coaster, basically. They have it enclosed in tunnels with lights and sound and all this other kind of stuff. And throughout the day, I'd been grouchy, because I was. And my group, because we were broken up into small groups, my group particularly, they stopped at the Indiana Jones ride, where you rode a Jeep and went through some fake ruins and things. I don't know. It was a ride. I sat outside because I couldn't be buggered. And there was a merchandise stand up there. I was like, oh, I'm going to see what's there because I like the hats and stuff. And they had this hand-carved skull on a stick. It wasn't a real skull. It's all made of wood. But it was all hand-carved. Like, you could tell all of them were different. They weren't all mass-produced in a factory. They were all different. Somebody made each and every one of them. So I bought one with my spending money. And I carried it with me throughout the rest of the trip. I still have it. Like, I can see it from where I'm sitting. It's up on top of a cabinet in my house right here. I can see it from here. It's broken in half, which was a separate incident later that was not my fault. I loaned it to somebody and they broke it. They did fix it, but it's broke again in the meantime. I think I gotta fix it again. I don't remember. It's old. It's old, okay? It's old. So I carried this thing, and then my group wanted to go to ride these go-karts or something. There was a go-kart ride. You could ride go-karts around a track. So they did that. I sat off to the side again because I was adamant I was not going to have any fun at all. I was going to make sure. So I didn't want to ride any rides. I didn't want to do anything fun. I just had my skull, which I thought was cool. So I was sitting outside the ride, and the ride operator he sees me over there and he looks and he's kind of confused. And then he wanders over and he's like, hey, where did you get that skull thing? And I'm like, it's from the Indiana Jones stand. I just bought it from there. And he was like, you know what, I've been working here for however long, and I'd never seen them there. That is really awesome. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm glad you like it. It's cool. I thought it was cool, so I got it. So he goes back, the ride ends. My group leaves. We go off and do something else. Later on in the evening, as one of the last few things we wanted to do, my group was like, hey, we want to ride the go-karts again. So I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. We all went back to the go-karts. I'm sitting outside again because I'm grouchy. Keeping up the trend, right? And the same guy is working the go-karts. And he comes over and he's like, hey, how long you guys still in the park? I'm like, well, I don't know. It's almost time for us to go back to the hotel. I don't know how much time we got left. This is one of the last rides we're doing. And he's like, have you been to Space Mountain yet? And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. And he's like, well, here, let me give you some passes. And I'm just like, okay. And so he gives me 3 guest passes to Space Mountain. And he tells me, hey, you know what? If you hadn't been sitting there with that skull stick and thinking that thing was cool, I might not have even known about that. And so here, this is a thank you. You guys can go ride Space Mountain for free. I mean, you could ride all of them for free if you paid your way into Disney World. But what this does was, the guest passes are front of the line. Past the VIPs, past everybody else waiting, you get right up there for the next ride. As soon as the ride stops, boom, guests go first. It's the magic ticket. It's the golden ticket. It's only good for one ride, but it's good in front of everybody else, which is kind of selfish, but whatever. So me and 2 other random people from my group got to ride Space Mountain on guest passes ahead of everybody else as the last ride that we did that night before going back to the hotel. And all because I bought this skull stick thing from the Indiana Jones stand. And all because I was a grouchy McGrumpa-Grump and didn't want to ride the go-karts. And I took the skull on Space Mountain with me. I stashed it. There's like a little net at your feet where you can stash stuff, like if you have a purse, if you carry a purse, or if you have whatever, you don't want it to fly off. I stashed it down there, but I took it on the ride with me, and I had taken it with me everywhere else that we went for the rest of the trip. So that was fun. Free ride on Space Mountain on a Disney vacation that I didn't even want to go to. What about you folks? I mean, that's always one of my favorite stories. But what about you folks? What kind of vacation stories do you have? I would love to hear about them. Did you go on family vacations when you were young? Do you go on family vacations now with your own kids? Do you? Tell me about it. Drop me a comment on this video on YouTube, because this is where it's going. It's going on to YouTube, and it's going on to all these. I don't know if you can comment on the other places that it gets sent to. I know if you go on YouTube after the fact, you can comment on it. Or go find me on Facebook. Spider Does Things. That is my Facebook page for all this stuff. Or you can email me, uncannyspiritsclub@gmail.com, because that was the first show that I did, other than this Uncanny Earth. That was the first thing I did under the Spider Does Things banner. So I didn't change the email, because why make like a different email for every different thing that I do, right? It's kind of cumbersome. But not like cumbersome like that alternative 90s band. But tell me about your vacation stories. I want to hear about them. I want to know. Were they torture? Were they excellent? Did your parents force you to pose in front of a giant monument of a dinosaur made of pudding? Because you go to those roadside attractions, it's like Carhenge, where it's like made out of cars, or the ball of twine, or it's like all this stuff that people did. They don't know why. They just did these things and made these attractions, and you got to stand in front of them and get an awkward picture. Tell me all about it. I want to know. I'd love to know. But that's it. That's all I got. Summer vacation. Man, I kind of wish people still went on summer vacation. And if they still do, maybe I'm just out of touch and I don't know about it. But as much as I groused about it and I grumped about it and I groaned about it and hated it and whatever, it was kind of a staple part of my childhood. So, it was something to do. It was something we did. It was one of the few things we did as a whole family before everybody got too old for stuff and started getting into angsty teenage phases and then moving out of the house and going to colleges and things like that. And now we don't talk all that much, so, summer vacations. Enjoy them, even if they suck. Even if they drive you crazy, enjoy your summer vacation. That's what they're there for. And eat some food. Find the good food, go to the great restaurants, and do that. Alright, so that's all I got for you. That's it. Make sure you tune in next week for another episode. And also, if you are an early bird and you want to be up super early in the morning, check out my morning show. It's starting tomorrow as of this broadcast. By the time you hear it, maybe it won't, because it'll be like next week or something. But Tuesday, August 29th at 6 a.m. in the morning. It's my morning news show called Sippin' Coffee with Spider. That's me, your old buddy, Spider, doing the thing. And I'm going to talk about the news. Go over news articles, news stories, and give my opinion. And some of my opinions are not going to be welcome, I'm sure. And that's okay. We can do that. We can do that. So if you're up and you want to be mildly entertained or just get some news and go, that was interesting, then by all means, do that. But until then, that's all I have for you. I'm going to say goodbye. And have a good night. Go on vacation. Plan one right now. Do it.